Hi everyone and welcome to WARNO Devblog 12. Obviously I skipped 11, which was the sound design one last week. That's one that you can go and have a read over yourself and have a look at their videos. Unfortunately, the time investment of making all of my own videos for that sound just wasn't feasible for what would be a couple of minute videos when I can't just drop units into maps like the devs can. However, this week we are back to our usual programming and we have our preview for the milestone Murat, or at least the first half of it, where today we are getting a look at the motorisierte Schützendivision. We have already deep dived into East Germany, or the Deutsche Demokratische Republik, or the DDR, and its armed forces, the National Volksarmee, or NVA, in the previous 7th Panzer Division devblog. Now, in 1989, the East German Army featured 2 tank divisions and 4 motor rifle divisions, modelled after the Soviet structure. Tank divisions exploited breakthroughs made by motor rifle divisions. Created in the 1950s, the 4th MSD found itself frequently in military exercises, or in the 1980s as support for industrialized projects in the country, disaster relief, or providing troops for state infrastructure works. Regardless, stationed in Gotha and Erfurt, opposite Fulda, the 4th MSD was initially based on Soviet motorized rifle model. Later the division's organization changed, resulting in no organic helicopter support and less armor than its Soviet counterparts. In 1990, after the fall of the Berlin Wall, the 4th MSD was disbanded. So what can you expect in the game? The 4th MSD was the closest NVA division to the inner German border, positioned right behind the Soviet 39th Guards motorized rifle division. In turn, the closest of all the Warsaw Pact divisions to the frontier. In case of war involving the NVA in a direct conflict with NATO, the 4th MSD would have found itself rather quickly on the front line in the heat of battle. Now, while it was covered in the previous 7th Panzer preview, in 1989 the T-72 is still considered rare in the East German armed forces. The main battle tank was limited to tank divisions, and that is why the 4th MSD must rely on the T-55 only for its armoured firepower. Also noted, the NVA divisions could not count on their own helicopter assets. Nonetheless, Eugen have decided to attach some additional airborne assets for the East German divisions. For example, the 4th MSD being at the tip of the spear in the opening stages of what would be World War III, the heliborne forces of the 3rd Army Sole Helicopter Regiment would be made available. This means that the division will feature a large amount of helicopter slots, with plentiful choices including the Mi-24D AA variant, with an R-60 missile, or the Mi-24P anti-tank version with its 8 Kokon missiles. There will also be the Mi-8 gunship with GUV pods, which will also find its way into other Soviet divisions later, and the wonderfully nicknamed Ghetto gunship, the Mi-8TB. This is a rare and specifically East German variant of the Mi-8, armed with 6 80mm rocket pods, 6 Malyuka guided missiles, and a nose-mounted 12.7mm HMG. As part of the spearhead of the Warsaw Pact invasion into the Fulda Gap, the division will be reinforced with elements from the Luftsturm Regiment 40, or LSTR 40, the NVA's elite airborne regiment. These special forces will be deployable as assault infantry in helicopter transports, either unarmed Mi-2s or heavily armed Mi-8s as FS Jägerfuhr, FS Jäger, or FS Jäger Metis variants. However, there is yet more. These elite East German paratroopers will also deploy with 2 unique and secretive recon units. The regiment maintained a false flag company dressed and equipped with American equipment and speaking American English fluently. Eugen suggests thinking along the lines of Operation Grief Commandos during the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, and you get the idea. So don't be surprised to find some recon troops modelled after Americans in the 4th MSD. They'll be featured in the recon category as FS Einsatzgruppe heavy recon squads, or FS Sprengglautscher saboteur squads with explosives. The 4th MSD will also gain access to one specific Soviet unit, the BM-30 Smerch, the biggest MLRS so far in the game, available in the RT category. New air additions for the 4th MSD will be the introduction of the streamlined MiG-29A fighter plane, as well as the ubiquitous MiG-23MF and better armed variant of the MiG-21 BIS. Note that the 7th Panzer will also receive a new, better equipped MiG-23ML, as if the 7th Panzer didn't have enough jets. Finally, they leave us with news of a major new gameplay feature. The best is saved for last. We know what you all must be thinking. This is about the East Germans and ghetto gunships, Mi-29s, yada yada, but the most exciting feature in the works for WARNO is dynamic mustaches. No Cold War game could be complete without the fabulous lipped foliage ever so popular during the 80s until sadly falling out of fashion like MC Hammer pants, oversized shoulder pads. At Eugen, we've got you covered. WARNO will not only include painstakingly modelled handlebars and realistic whiskers on infantry models, but it will all be perfectly implemented into the gameplay. Mustache links to veterancy. The more veterancy you take on your infantry squads, the bigger the hairy caterpillar. It makes perfect sense. You can now quickly check at a glance by zooming right in on your units the veterancy status of the infantry forces of your opponent. Investigate their facial hair real estate, and you will instantly know if these are mousy recruits or battle-hardened macho men. And as a result of the overwhelmingly positive feedback they've had, they are fast-tracking this as the #1 priority to get into WARNO. Well, that's everything for this week's devblog. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Please do like, share and subscribe as always. And please check out the channel later today as a casting of a really good game's going up.